Welcome. We're so glad you're here. This is our second annual Unleash Mississippi, and we could not be more excited about the afternoon ahead. The promise of America is that no matter what neighborhood you're born into, no matter what your parents do for a living, everyone has a chance at the American dream. But is that true? Is that a reality for everyone in America? And how about here in Mississippi? You know, a number of years ago, I got to know a lady named Cynthia who lives in Canton, Mississippi. And Cynthia is an African American. She's a single mom. She had a fifth grader, young man named Will. And Will was a great student. He worked hard. Yet, even in the fifth grade, Cynthia was beginning to see Will get pulled into the gang culture. And yet Will had this dream of wanting to be a doctor. And Cynthia knew her home, Canton, Mississippi, with one of the worst, most chronically plagued public school systems in the state, she knew Canton, Mississippi was no place for Will to achieve his dreams. So she came and said, I got to find a way out. And every day on the way to work, Cynthia drives past Madison Public Schools, great public schools. And she said, how do I get Will into Madison? Well, as you know, most people, when you're looking for a new school, you move. Well, Cynthia lived in a rental house in Canton. She looked at housing in Madison and realized there was nothing affordable that she could make work for her family. So she looked at Canton Academy. Canton Academy is a private school in Canton. She looked at the tuition, said, I can't come close to $6,000 a year for him to get into a better school. So then she looked at a district transfer where you can live in one district and enroll a child in another district. What you may not know, Mississippi has some of the strictest rules in the nation about cross-district transfers. In her case, Canton wouldn't approve it, and Madison wouldn't approve it, so Will was stuck. So Cynthia is watching her son fall further and further behind, not because she had done anything to hurt her son, but because she couldn't gain an opportunity to help him. And she was stuck. And the saddest part for me, when I heard her story and sat down to try and help her, I couldn't help her either. I could find no way to get her son out of the situation he was in. You know, as I've done this work over the last 16, 17 years, I have heard versions of Cynthia's story from moms and dads looking for better educational opportunities for their kids. I've heard them all across the state. Dozens, even hundreds of versions of this same story. Fast forward. So I kind of lost touch with Cynthia, and I reached out to her a couple of years ago. Ran across her number. I called her up. I said, Cynthia, whatever happened to Will? Cynthia said, your timing is impeccable. She said, last Saturday, he graduated from Germantown High School. He got a great education. He's enrolled in community college. He is still planning to go to medical school. And I said, Cynthia, that is fantastic. How did you get him in there? And she said, well, that's the sad part. I couldn't figure out a way to get him into a better school. So I gave up custody of my son, and I sent him to live with his father, who was not a good influence and not a good person to be around, but he lived in the right school district. And she said, it was the hardest decision I've ever had to make, but it was the right decision for Will. And he got a great education. And her comment to me, something I'll never forget, she said, why do we make it so hard on good people trying to do the right thing? That's what Empower's all about. That is what this event is all about. It's about creating opportunity and tearing down barriers so that everybody in every corner of this state, from every background, has an opportunity to have the American dream. And I could not be more excited. This is our second annual event. We're going to have panelists all day talking about education and poverty and work. And I'm so proud of the lawmakers that get it, the policymakers that get it, that are here to celebrate, who are here to talk about the work that's already being done to tear down barriers. We have some of those. We have a lot of those that are doing great work here. But I'm especially excited about those who are in the trenches, those that are on the front lines. We're going to hear from a superintendent of a public school district. And this superintendent is doing great things in his district to make sure everybody in his district gets a world-class education. We're going to hear from a teacher who left an 28-year career in public education to start a private school because she knew kids in her community needed another option. And we're going to hear from a sheriff who represents one of the largest counties in the state, who is fighting not only to make the community safer, fight crime, but to make sure everybody gets a second chance. So buckle up. We're going to have a great afternoon. I'm so glad you're here.